Hi, Stephen, and welcome to your natal chart reading with Tan Astrology by me, Sarah, and my colleague and friend, Adriana. We are here to look at your natal chart and your human design and your gene keys to answer some questions that you had from the questionnaire. Now, before we get started, we do like to confirm that your birth information is correct. We have that you were born on January 8th, 1995 at 5:15 p.m. in Little Rock, Arkansas. And before we get started, I'd like to pass it over to Adriana to see what she has for first thoughts on this chart.
Hi, Stephen. So you have here a very interesting chart. We noticed all of the elements that you talked about. And it's a very fast-paced energy. I see some things with your communication that I want to address in this reading. And I think we want to invite you to look at your chart in a different perspective, maybe uncover some things and get some insights on your chart that might be new to you. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy this reading.
So, one of the first things that we noticed, which you pointed out as well, is the T square, which is your big three, actually makes a T square, or just about. It's a couple of degrees off either way. But your ascendant is nearly opposite your sun, and both of those are in a T square to your moon. So, of course, this is a cardinal T square. So, the initiatory action and that feeling of go, go, go was really evident in your line of questioning or your way of answering the questions. You're very, to the point and matter of fact. And so, yeah, you know, it's something about your chart that's so outstanding that you can't help but notice it. It just jumps right out at you. So that's a lot of the energy that we were feeling was, getting to the point and moving really quickly through it. And this is interesting though because you are a Cancer rising. So an important thing to mention with this cardinal T square with your sun being in Capricorn, this is a good place for the sun. The sun likes this sort of attention. Capricorn is kind of this boss CEO energy here in your seventh house. Um, so, yeah, the sun in Capricorn is really geared towards getting business done, getting things done, getting deals made. Um, so it's a very good placement for the sun. And the moon here in Aries, the moon in Aries is quick action or quick, quick emotions. Even this can be kind of really fast to anxiety, fast to rage, fast to bliss. So this is definitely erratic for the emotions. And this with your Cancer ascendant, the ascendant being in Cancer is a soft center enclosed in a protective outer shell. So Cancer is very nurturing, Cancer is very protective. Cancer is to do with the mother, our relationship with the mother, and Cancer is the way that we nurture and the way that we like to be nurtured. So this being in your first house, this first house is to do with the personality, the mask that we put on for the way we interact with the world. This is our persona. So this is, a hard outer shell with a soft center, but it's also very yin and very feminine a sign Cancer is. So this in kind of this tense um, relationship to not only your moon but also your sun. So both of these sun and moon kind of have this fast paced or very directional, very structured, very masculine, very yang energy for both of these elements of your big three, which seems to be in this tense relationship with your ascendant here in this feminine yin sign of kind of reception and nurturing and care and the home and the mother. So that's something we kind of want to highlight, is that, yeah, your personality and the way that you interact with the world is this Cancer ascendant. So the moon and the sun are in these really fast paced and organized and business oriented placements.
Yeah, and you also mentioned the yacht and the cradle. And, having yacht, I can help but wonder that you think that these are like keys to figure out what to do with your life. But let me tell you, that is not true. I have two yachts in my chart, and I mean, that was one of the things that got me into astrology, was to figure out what was in my chart and what I was supposed to do with that. But these are not going to reveal very profound things, or, give you an answer. I mean, for the sake of curiosity and learning about yourself, these are very interesting, but these are not keys to unsolved mysteries. These are just some aspects in your life. So, yeah, just, I'm going to share what I think about your yacht, but I want to bear that in mind. Like, these are not things that are going to reveal something very hidden in you. They're just reflections of you. So, yeah, a yacht is always about an ongoing struggle, but at the same time, an ability for connecting 3 points in your chart that seem very disconnected. So you have at the meeting point your Mars, so your drive. And then you will have at the bottom your MC and your Mercury. So the highest point in your chart, and then your communication, your Mercury. So this already is on the best way of seeing things. This is a chameleon. This is someone that has to adopt different points of view to make something or say something. Okay, but the thing here is that, your Mercury in Aquarius, it's already challenging because it's about taking ideas out of the air, but put it in a fixed energy. So you think that fixed energy, that you think that those ideas are it. So you look at those ideas as the finish line. And when you try to express them, they can come across in a weird way, and you can be really misunderstood. And then you have your midheaven, which will be in a difficult aspect to Mercury. So your Mercury here is kind of conflicting with Mars, and it's about communication because it's in the third house. Same goes with your MC. So you have, maybe you want to communicate this idea of career, or how you want to be seen out in the world, but you might seem you seem like you can't really get there. You don't have the right drive or the energy seems to be lost. So it's very hard to articulate these points in your chart. It's like having your voice, your career, and your drive sitting at the table and deciding what to do with your life. And that can be challenging. And if you look at, can you put up the all of the aspects? I really want to acknowledge that Chiron in the third house. I think there's a lot in your chart that says that you may feel that your style of communication may not go as well as you thought. So you might feel that you have all of these ideas to change the world, actually, or your life, but not quite communicate that. Or you can just be misunderstood by the people around you because, Mercury in Aquarius might seem a little bit awkward when speaking. But yeah, you need to embrace the energies, all of the energies that are in your yacht. You have to listen to them. And only then you can work it with your yacht in a good way, in an ability, in a way that allows you to go further with your dreams. Also, your Mars is in retrograde. So it might feel like your energy can extinguish really quickly because you want to get somewhere. And then you probably can't sometimes because, things take time to create and to evolve. And with this retrograde, that speed can be challenged, and or you can run towards something and extinguish your fire very fast because you're just going for it, going for it, and not quite reach it. So yeah, you need to learn how to give time to things. Mars in retrograde, you will still have the drive, but trying to connect that with practicality because this is a Virgo sign. So yeah, think before you speak and think before you go into action, plan before you go into action, and only then you can see your projects unravel. So then you have your moon sitting with your MC on the 10th house in Aries, the fiery and cardinal sign. So, you might not like when I talk about being calm and waiting for things because emotional wise, you are fast. You just want things done. And you are very emotionally attached to your public persona, how people perceive you, and to your projects. So, and what you want to do with your life. So, your career. Yeah, so this Aries energy is, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So he wants to initiate things. He wants to do it very quickly. And this might be something that you have, and it's very natural to you to be a leader, or you want to be a leader, a CEO, or be on top of the pyramid. But I would be very cautious when it comes to dealing with your emotions because it's a very public placement to have your moon. And it says a lot about yourself because it's your chart ruler. So you are emotionally attached to this career. So when you're frustrated, when you're angry, this is going to be noticed at a public level. People around you are going to notice your emotions. So be really mindful of what type of feelings you want others to see. Because if you're very passionate about your career, people are going to be influenced by you because this is Aries, so it's setting up an example. But if you're feeling uncomfortable, frustrated, um, you're probably going to infect people around you with that negativity and get that back um, as well. So, yeah, I think it's very, very important for you to manage your emotions.
And like Adriana was saying, that's so important to consider with this being your 10th house of your debut into society. So, with those leadership qualities of this house, being that it is Aries, Aries is an initiator, it's a pioneer, it's inventive, it's brand new. So you have the ability to lead, especially considering your MC is here. So your midheaven is here, the highest point in your chart. And, leading in this role model sort of way because your moon is here. So your emotions are, put on the spotlight as well. And, you know, the moon is also something really important to consider because it occurs in phases. We notice it in phases. And so, playing this role as a lunar leader, so, cyclical in nature, very reliable in that way, but also continuously going through these changing phases. So, don't bottle those emotions up. You can still be a human being that has those fluctuations of emotions. But, definitely recognizing the fact that that's what people see of you, that people are noticing about you this this interpersonal ability that you have, and part of that is to do with how you can take on other people's emotions and understand them. And especially in this area of leadership, it's really a powerful skill with leaders that are able to embody the people that work for them, work with them, just in order to keep this a cohesive group or cohesive operation in the case of the 10th house. So, yeah, there's definitely some strong leadership skills in that ability to show empathy towards those that you are interacting with.
Yeah, I can see like a story here of a person who knows how to be in groups, that knows how to work in corporate, and then, not climbing up the ladder, but maybe create something of its own. And I'm saying this because if you look at your sixth house, which is the house of routine, work, health, the day-to-day life, you you thrive in this area. So you know how to implement routines, you know how to work in a corporate world. And I'm saying this because you have the ruler of the house, so that means the ruler of Sagittarius here, which is Jupiter, and you also have Venus here. So you have a lot of energy for work, and that's awesome. I mean, sometimes it's so hard to find people that love their job and you're good at it. So you have your luck, your planet of luck and expansion. So two benevolent planets here. So you might also be very healthy, and that can really help you thrive in the corporate world or working a lot. So you might have also very loads of work, but you know how to go through this, and you know how to work this. The thing is, I think you want to break out of this wheel. like, okay, I can perform well, but maybe I can even outperform the person above me. So I want to break this. I want to be in charge. And you had this before. If you look at your south node, it's in the 11th house. So you had this understanding of groups. You might have an early life experience around a lot of people, and you know how to integrate a community, you know how to integrate a team. But now you need to go through that north node, which is in the fifth house. And that's going to be challenging for you because this is the house of self expression. And you really need to transform to embody this energy because you also have Pluto here. And, a lot of the self expression comes from speaking and talking and communicating. And that's probably the most challenged energy in your chart. So you fight with your words, right? You have Mars in Virgo, but it's retrograde. And then you have your Mercury in Aquarius. So it's very challenging. It's very different and it's very humanitarian, but it's challenging because it's so unique to you. So you really have to find a way to do things your way. I'm just listening to the song "I Did It My Way" in my head. So yeah, you might be very passionate for doing something of yours, but you need to feel comfortable being yourself, and um, talking the way you talk, expressing yourself the way you express, and connect with your ascendant, connect with your Cancer side. I know it's probably challenging because you want to go, go, go. You want things done. You want you want to get to work and have a briefing so you can start, doing things and get things done because you're so efficient on things. But in order to do so, if you want to do something of your own, you need to put all of that energy into performing and put that energy inwards because this is Scorpio energy. So all of this intensity is is for yourself, is for searching what needs to be transmuted and transformed. And only then you can be a leader for others. Yeah, it's when you can see yourself clearly and get into the flow, see how the water signs come here into play. So get into the flow of things.
Yeah, that's super interesting that, there's this real desire to push ahead, push forward, go fast. And then there's this Cancer ascendant, and Cancer kind of has sometimes, since it's one of the water signs, it can, be a little homey, a little comfy. And so, kind of one of the underlying statements that I wanted to bring to attention is that stillness is not laziness. So being still and receiving and accepting and being cozy, being in the home, being around family, whatever that looks like. It doesn't necessarily have to be those themes. Whatever themes of Cancer really resonate, even if that's the attachment to the lunar cycle and being cyclical in that way and being, routine in that way. But in this way that self-care, self-nurturing is really, so important to take the time to do.
Yeah. I think we can move on to human design and yeah, see how you exchange energy with the world outside of you. So I don't know if you have some knowledge on human design. So I'm going to briefly present it to you. So this is a chart that explains how you exchange energies with the world and other people. And the geometric figures represent concentrated energies, and the numbers sitting on those figures represent the gates where you produce and emit and receive energy from. So you have the head, then the ajna, then the throat, the G center, the will, the solar plexus, the sacral, the root, and then the spleen. And you are, so you have your sacral colored in, and this center represents your vitality. When it's colored in, you are immediately considered a generator, and you are a pure generator. That means that you produce the energy that you need, all of the energy that you need. And so it is common for the generators just to, you know, generators are the builders of the world, are the mechanisms that move our world, because we can work and work and work and immediately go to sleep and start working on the other day. So you can be very productive, and that's a good thing when you have a lot of projects that you want to fulfill. Also, I want to acknowledge that there is a connection between your crown and your ajna, and your ajna and your mind. And this means you have a connection from your plane of ideas and inspiration to your plane of mind and the cognitive mind, the processual, well, the part of your mind that processes information. So this is excellent because when you have ideas, you can put them in a way that works. The thing is, your throat is undefined. So you have there a gate producing energy, but it's not enough. When you have like those hanging strings there, that means you need partners to fulfill those gaps. And so you need to be surrounded by people that can complete this expression and complete those things that you want to say.
It's so important that we consider, or that you consider, who those people are because of your profile, which is a 4-6. You're an opportunistic role model. So this 4 line is really interactive in networks. It really gets around to making deals, making negotiations, and just being in the right place at the right time, where this 6 line, this role model, goes through 3 phases of life. You have the first 30 years of life, which you're approaching. In fact, you're very close to your Saturn return. We'll get to that. But for the first 30 years of life, the 6 line performs as a 3 line. So it's this constant battle of trial and error and spinning yourself around on the hamster wheel and feeling like nothing's getting anywhere. You just have all this initiation energy and all this, desire to experiment, and it seems like none of the experiments go well. They don't go the way that you want them to for the first 30 years. Once you hit 30, then you go up on the roof, is what it's called, and lick your wounds. It's this time of processing all of that which you were experiencing for those first 30 years of trial and error and failure. The great thing about a 4 line is it is social. And so rather than going to lick your wounds by yourself, not to say that you don't go up on the roof, but you kind of pull back away from society and you start to experience on a smaller level the trial and error. It's much more mild because you have this life experience of your first 30 years where you learn the hard lessons. And by the time you reach this second phase of life, which lasts for 20 years until age 50, You're experiencing the process of alchemizing those lessons, those hard learned lessons. And what you might find is that your first 30 years of life involves making relationships and being in partnership or being in networks, we should say, with the wrong people. Whether they're just not taking the initiative themselves, they just don't live up to the standard that you live up to. So you're interacting with, a lot of people that you might not feel like you're clicking with. And in this second phase of life, you might actually see the opportunity in this opportunistic line. So with your 6th line being a role model, you're what you might find is that in this second stage of life, you're going to start interacting with role models. You might actually start meeting those people that you look up to, or the people that look up to the same people as you, that kind of thing. Your network will start to involve people that are in this this higher level that can help you to network and build community with what you could consider the right people that are at least moving towards the same goals that you are in life. At which point, when that second phase of life ends, you'll have arrived at age 50. For the 6th line, age 50 is this like coming back down off the roof and being that guide, being that elder in some cases. And I think that that is the case for you, is that you're accumulating all of this wisdom, and you're kind of you're being constricted into this diamond. So that's how kind of like the story that I have for this is your incarnation cross is what's called the right angle cross of penetration. And so I'm going to pull up the Human Design Tools description for this incarnation cross, which is the right angle cross of penetration. Your cross carries the energy of getting noticed through your ambition. Because of your ambitious approach, people will recognize what you do. You also carry the energy to get to the point. You are not likely to beat around the bush. Just get to it and get it done. This can be both positive and negative depending on other people's expectations. If you are asked to be thorough with an assignment, your tendency to do it as quickly and easily may result in unmet expectations. So the key point here is you do have this penetrating, ambitious energy, but maybe watch where you're swinging it. Maybe it's a blessing and a curse. It's a double-edged sword, this cross of penetration. So yeah, the idea of that diamond is allow the time that's needed under that pressure, under that constriction of wanting to use that potential energy, of wanting to use that activation energy, allowing that to form into something really hard and beautiful, like a diamond.
Yes, I think this clearly, can you go back on the human design? This clearly describes what we were seeing on your astrological chart, is really the thing of experience and knowing the other side of things. And I have the 4 line, so I know sometimes these opportunities never seem to come. And we have to create them sometimes. And the thing is, your themes, so you have to respond. You have to create a space where people see your work, so they can come to you and respond so they can come to you and ask for your advice or your insights, and only then you can respond. Because if you're jumping into I can do this, I don't want to go through this and being on this wheel forever, I can do this way better than most people, so I'm gonna jumpstart something. because you have all of these abilities to start something from yourself, but you need to slow down. You need to enjoy the ride and create something where people can see you and come to you. Only then, when you start responding, you are going to see what is often called success. Also, if you ever wondered, how do I know if I'm on the right path? When you're a generator, it's very simple. If you're getting at the end of the day and you feel frustrated, you're not on the right path. You are on the right path when you go off of work and you can work for 5 hours or for 12 hours, and you get home and you might feel tired, but you feel satisfaction. So bear that in mind and notice how you feel when you're integrated in a job or in a project, or how you feel in your relationships. Only then you will understand if that's good for you or not. And so we also want to see your gene keys matrix. So gene keys, all of these gates that you see on human design are keys, gene keys. And this system was done by Richard Rudd, and a lot of the information that we're going to share with you is in his book. So yeah, I love Richard, by the way, an initiator himself. So the thing that you see at the top is your life's work. So it tells you what you are here to do on this world. So here you can clearly see, when you see greed, aspiration, and ascension, these are levels of vibration for this gene, the 54 gene. And so, you might have this, you might feel this greed at the lowest vibration possible, or you might be surrounded by this greed. But in order to get to that ascension, in order to get at that point of alchemy, and this is how Richard describes ascension, you need to go through aspiration. And this is the gift that you have by having this gene key. So greed can be for love or money. Aspiration can be for, it means that you can mixture and use both material and spiritual to get to your results and to create something that fulfills beyond the material. And then you have the ascension. That is the highest vibration. It's the Siddhi. So this ascension has a lot to do with alchemizing, and that means transmuting lowest forms of feelings like jealousy, greed, or any kind of bad emotions, and alchemizing into something that is good. So if you feel jealous, you can turn in that something that you aspire to be. And when you do it, you are on your path to ascension. So I think as a life's work, that's a lot to do. But it's a theme that we see throughout your charts. And then you have gene key 53, that is your evolution. This is how you evolve. It's what you are here to learn. So at the lowest vibration, you have immaturity. Then as a gift, you have expansion. And as the highest vibration or Siddhi, you have superabundance. So I really want to focus on expansion. So expansion is a very slow process, even though it's a very magnificent one. And it's so interesting because we are receiving news on, um, the ever expanding universe, and we're seeing pictures, new pictures, and with high resolution. And it seems like we cannot get enough information on the universe. Like we're getting, nicer pictures, but what is expansion, and for how long can we go? Like, for how long can the universe expand? So it's a very, very, very slow process. It takes um, billions of years, but at the same time is the biggest project there is. And so I want you to take that analogy into your life and really consider that, the most important project in your life is going to take time. And sometimes you can get some pictures of what you want, but and sometimes you only get better pictures. So it takes time, and you need to let go of this wanting to have stuff, and that's immaturity, and you have to evolve to embracing that expansion. Only then you will reach the superabundance. So superabundance is beyond feeling abundant. So it's beyond getting rich. It's beyond getting all your desires fulfilled. It's about feeling success. Again, it's about feeling uh, an 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 emotion of fulfillment. So another thing of the lowest vibration is that the lowest vibration of this gene key can be the false cult of the individual. And remember that you have your north node on the fifth house. So you need to be, even before looking at charts in astrology, you knew that you wanted to do something of your own. You want to, bring your blueprint on things. But if you're being very immature about it, or being very, well, not taking everything into consideration, you might come across as immature. So, even if you have people around you that, um, tell you that, oh, just do something of your own, you don't need this, blah, blah, blah. So this energy can be outside of you as well. Try and listen to your ascendant, try and listen to your moon, try and slow down so you can understand the expansion that you need to evolve. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that you take it there to focus on the moon, because that's actually the unconscious part of your activation sequence here, which is what this diagram is showing. So for you, this unconscious side is represented by two spheres, the radiance and the purpose. That's everybody's radiance and purpose spheres. The radiance is your unconscious sun, and the purpose is your unconscious earth. And for you, your unconscious sun is this moving from the shadow of unease to clarity, the siddhi, through intuition, which is the gift that you have. So 57 is letting go of what you know in order to receive, allowing that intuition to lead you to clarity. So it's literally looking inward and feeling into the moment. With this being your radiance sphere, by the way, this is an unconscious gift that you have. So you can tap into this. It's just not something that you've necessarily been all that aware of. And your purpose sphere is another unconscious gift. And this unconscious gift is moving from the shadow of agitation to awakening the siddhi through initiative, which is the gift. So we didn't even have to dig any further into your chart than first glance to know that you can take initiative. It's your cardinal T square. So there's like, look no further than here. This is the mover, this is the shaker. And so the idea though with this is to soften, to become softer about this awakening, this initiative that you're taking, and to move away from the agitation. And when you become softer, you are more open to receiving that intuition. So being open to the ways that life can shake you up, those awakening kind of moments. This purpose, this awakening is also the gate of shock. So it's important to understand that you do have this ability to get people going. It can be quite shocking to people. So I think that that's an important key word to notice. And then, the kind of advice here is to work through this agitation by softening. And this is the unconscious side of your incarnation cross. This is your unconscious part of your incarnation cross. So unconscious gifts that you do have that you just need to kind of tap into.
Yeah, at this point, you might be telling yourself, like, I want to get things done, and they're telling me to get soft. What? This is challenging. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna talk a little bit further on the idea that we have on your charts at the end of the reading. But yeah, bear with us and listen to the side of the story, because there is a lot of potential in these charts. And speaking of potential, let's look at your pearl, which is exactly the 9 gene. And it's a line 1. So line 1 is all about self-empowerment and bringing simplicity to complex subjects. So at the lowest vibration, you have inertia. And I want to stop here. With all this energy, and you're telling me that the lowest vibration is inertia. Well, the thing is, you can have so many projects and so many mountains that you want to escalate that at some point you lose your fire. Like, you don't even bother because it seems impossible. And you have your Mars in retrograde, so that fire can extinguish. You can feel like you lose your voice or you lose your energy to do things. So in order to evolve and to embrace your gift of determination, you have to gain perspective. And the ninth gene is all about perspective. If you look at the top of the mountain, you're going to feel overwhelmed. But if you look at your feet, you're going to feel captivated. And that's where the determination comes from, is being able to not lay down your head, no, look to the ground, because you're so accustomed to look for new things and to new objectives in life. Just lower your gaze, and see what you have there and feel captivated. This is a challenge, but this challenge, when you overcome it, you go into the city of invincibility. So, when you go through the process of dealing with your own energy, you then can have a project or career or whatever you want in life with a sense of invincibility, because you have all of the right baselines for the project. So I don't know if I told you this, but the pearl is the greatest harvest in your life. The 19 key with the one line, it's a very beautiful thing to have here.
We also wanted to mention the vocation sphere for you, and also the culture sphere. Since we're talking about the pearl, this is all part of one sequence, so it's important for you to understand these spheres as well. We'll begin with the vocation sphere, which is gene key 31. And this gene key has a shadow of arrogance and a siddhi of humility through the gift of leadership. And this gene key is actually very important for some events that are coming up, to include the Leo new moon. It will actually take place on this very same gene key. So I'm really familiar with the way that this energy is working because I've looked into the new moon for Leo. And when you move away from arrogance towards humility, it's this knowing everything that can manifest in its shadow as arrogance. It can be that you kind of feel like a know-it-all, or you experience those sorts of people. So having humility through leadership, this means leading in a maybe different sort of way, leading community from this very humble place. So not from like an authoritative position, but rather from within the group. So this is your vocation sphere. This is also, being built up into a leader through trial and error, as we were talking about earlier. So this is on the fourth line. So there is a lot of experience in this leadership ability. And that is why it is actually a very humble leadership position, because it's been achieved through hard work or through failure. So very informed leadership in this humble way. And then okay, so then we have your culture sphere, which is the way in which you the fabric within which you fit in with the world, the way that you interact with the world. So in this way of trying to achieve this pearl, so this great harvest. So this is all part of a cycle that gets you back to the pearl. With the culture sphere being one, well, it's the very first gene key. This is creativity embodied. So through this shadow of entropy and a siddhi of beauty, you get to the beauty through this gift of freshness. So, one of the ways that I kind of saw this is this entropy is kind of this chaotic, everything's going into a state of chaos. Everything is breaking down. Everything is moving to a state of chaos. So freshness is approaching every day as though it is a new day, and that being the chaos of it all, so achieving beauty through seeing something new in the mundane day-to-day activities, and being grateful for those in a fresh way every single day. So Stephen, we are back at your astrology natal chart to discuss further some of the questions that you had and your responses to the questionnaire that we gave. So beginning with careers, talents, and purpose, what burning questions do you need answering? You answered career, talents, and life purpose, or money.
I can start and say that, well, a clear talent that you have is to be a leader and a role model for others. But all of this cardinal energy that you have needs to slow down. And maybe you hear that a lot because you can go further and faster than most people. And so, they can't keep up with that. But, this is how you're going to go further in life, is by slowing down and doing things in a very thoughtful way. And this is funny because we were talking about like how this energy can manifest, because how can you be this soft and slow person and at the same time so productive and so and do so many things in one day. And what we came up with was like an archetype of the new age Silicon Valley CEO that meditates and runs every morning. So we pictured you just, meditating in the morning, put your ideas into order, and then facing the day with all of that fiery energy, really thought through. So, yeah.
Totally. It's almost like the perfect archetype for this, because just in our modern era, that's kind of the move that people are making is, I need the self-care routine in the morning. In whether that looks like going on a meditative walk in the morning, if it's just some sort of routine, that seems to be a really key part of finding pleasure, because it's North Node in the fifth house and Scorpio. There's this like hidden side of you, maybe even this kind of spiritual, meditative, or just contemplative side of you. Um, and you're really deeply able to connect with it creatively with Jupiter and Venus here in the sixth house of day-to-day routines. You could be really creative with whatever it is. We definitely don't want to limit you to meditation or, you know, um, just that archetype, but it is so profound, that is the case in your chart, because yeah, this divine connection, this need for that intuitive connection, that need to recalibrate every day and see every day as a new day. This will help to kind of push out the struggle in you kicking your wheels and feeling like you're not getting anywhere, because you are. And it's chipping away daily at the routine and the projects that you're working with, but really focusing on that stillness, that yin energy of your ascendant Cancer.
Yeah, I just want to add that the most important journey of your life is the one you do inward, not outward. Once you have that figured out, the outworld will just be a reflection of that. And we were talking about you have all of the masculine energy of, get to work and get things done. But, you know, if you would really like the feminine energy if you get to know it, because it's about creating and receiving and attracting. So when you create something that is of value to you and it's your own creation and it's very passionate, it can attract the right people because it was done with the right intention. So if you're concerned about money and about success, try and really figure out yourself and how you feel and what you can create. When you do that, you will attract those things into and you will materialize those things.
So now that we've gone over your astro chart, your human design, and your gene keys, we wanted to look at this transit chart for the new moon in Leo that will occur on July 28th. And we have set it for Little Rock, Arkansas. Even if that isn't the location that you're still at, I've received instruction from my professor, which is Achuta Bhava Das with Nightlight Astrology, that location is changed when we are talking about astrocartography, but it's not necessary to do that for these sort of transit updates. So if that doesn't resonate for you, feel free to adjust that to your actual location now. But we are going to talk about how this new moon energy is interacting with your own chart, and then talk about some of the energies that we felt upon initial viewing of your chart. So to start, this is where the new moon in Leo will occur. It is in your second house of value and finances. And this is interacting with Jupiter in a trine. So that's a harmonious aspect here in your 10th house. So Jupiter is here in your 10th house in a harmonious aspect with the new moon cycle. New moons are a time of new beginning, sowing seeds. And here we have the planet of expansion in your house of career, which we thought you might like to hear. So, Adriana, do you have anything to add?
Yes, of course. So it's really close to your midheaven. So, planet of expansion and luck, joining this new beginning in the second house. I'm thinking business ideas, and I just feel that there's something there that you might be thinking of. I mean, you clearly have your head in the game, and you are able to bring in like this idea into fruition. So maybe a business idea, and but let this be something that is beyond business. So 10th house is all about public. Don't be afraid to be public. This is Leo energy in your 10th house of Aries, the initiator. Don't be afraid to take initiative and, be the one that is stepping on the stage. And don't be afraid to hold the microphone, because at this point, you are receiving this energy of self-worth, new beginnings regarding self-worth, not only material things. Second house, it's all about values. So be mindful of the value that you attribute to yourself, and how that can reflect on the public view. So it's a really nice aspect. So don't be afraid to be expensive, and you know pay attention to the ideas that come at this point. Mercury is also in the second house, so don't be afraid to notice the ideas that might come up regarding materializing things. You need to be aware of self-worth and self-expression, but at the same time, new beginnings regarding uh, financial ideas. So yeah, I think this is a very positive energy for you.
Yeah, and what I do know actually about this new moon is that the very next day, Jupiter will begin going back into retrograde, which will
Mhm.
go right over your midheaven again. So it's going to dip back into Pisces and then come back out. So this is a really great time to initiate those projects and then expect to kind of do the follow up work with that. So expect this to be a process, but definitely see some good things coming for you in initiating new projects as far as career or debut into society is concerned.
I also want to take a look at your first house, and I was talking about self-worth, and you're seeing that you have Venus in your first house. So whatever business idea that might come up at this point, or an idea to make money, be really mindful of your self-worth, because this will be triggering. So Jupiter is in a square to will be forming a square to Venus in your first house, and you also have like Moon joining Venus almost in the same degree at that point. So, there are new ideas coming up for you, but you really need to be clear on value, your value, and the value that you want to give to your idea, to your product, to your project, whatever it is. um, you might get triggered, you might get asked about the magnitude of this idea. So, be mindful of this, be aware of this, and um, yeah, really put thought into it, because we have to, be able to find value within ourselves before ever starting a project on the outside. This is like the best time to think of a business and to think of yourself as a project. So, yeah, I
Mhm.
wanted to add that.
Nice. Yeah, and that's with that Black Moon, Lilith, and Venus there in your first house in a loose square with Jupiter here in the 10th house. So, very important insights. There with squares, that is usually a not so harmonious aspect. It's going to reveal things to you that are obstacles or that are hiccups. Nothing that should be too inhibiting, but just something to be mindful of is that that first house is our personality, the mask that we wear. And so yeah, there could be kind of attacks to your personality, or um, especially with it being Jupiter and Aries. So Aries, that really initiatory and sometimes conflicting, like leads to conflict, you could say, since it's the god of war. So yeah, there just could be some mild attacks, you could say, on your ideas and the creativity of them. People might question, how sensible are you being with that idea or things like that. So that's something to definitely keep in mind.
Take a look at that 11th house with Mars joining North Node. This is a time to us to find our purpose. So, you know, be really attentive to this time in your life. This is showing up for everyone, but you regret regarding your groups. You have Uranus in the same degree of the North Node. This is kind of messy, but at the same time, these are things that we need to go through to find our real purpose. So, I mean, if you like to write what you're feeling, what you're thinking right now, because believe me when I say that this is crucial to the near future.
And so now we'll move into some of our first reactions about your chart and the energy that we noticed. So, Adriana, do you want to start off with that?
I want to pick up when I said that you have your head in the game. I mean, you are this energy that is so, you are reliable, um, but at the same time, you are a person too that needs to take risks in life to get where he wants to, because you want to go far. So you're going to need to be the one to take risks. So I know with Sun in Capricorn can be a little bit can be challenging. We say this word a lot, but it is, and life is about challenge. Um, you want these things to be structured, but in order to get a business out there or to get an idea out there, you have to be okay with the discomfort of things not working out, things not being fast enough. I mean, you know, it's a ride to get something, a project of your own. It's a ride, and I mean, we feel this clearly about you, that you want something of yours. I've never met uh Aries midheaven that doesn't have something of its own. So, and I'm being real. So, you know sometimes they have some kind of inherited business, but most of the times they have to do it on their own. And dealing with these Cancer energies is like really riding the waves and really get in touch with your emotions. So, you know, hang on in there. It's a bumpy ride in that boat. Get accustomed to that, because this is going to be your life. You need to be comfortable in the storm, during the storm. Having something of your own is a storm. So it's inviting a storm into your house. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You know, like Adriana was saying, we definitely could tell you're a force, that you are very capable of even nurturing with Cancer as your ascendant. So, you know, turning that back on the self and allowing yourself that self care. Because what I initially felt with your chart was I was talking so fast that I couldn't keep up with myself. Like you know, you are quick, quick, quick. All this cardinal energy means that you're moving quick through ideas, moving quick through actions. It's almost like every aspect of your life is what's the next thing. And so I really wanted to deliver a message to you, kind of like matter of fact, too. There was almost this desire to get it all done in 5 minutes because it just, you know, you need the message, you need it now. And so another reason why it was kind of part to do with why we wanted to introduce this transit to you and show you, you know, you've got great things coming, maybe some struggles to get them, but yeah, just like pushing through those kinds of things. But that's kind of what you're up against, is maybe not pushing through so quickly and slowing down. Not to offer, you know, advice where it's not wanted. So, you know, take that as you like, take it with a grain of salt. But that was just something that I noticed, was I was like out of breath trying to keep up with the thoughts that I was having, because I was just moving so quickly through, you know, all the things that you offered and all the things that we wanted to touch on.
Yeah, and I know I have addressed this before during the reading, but your communication style, there is something that I'm just so curious about this, because you have your Chiron on the third house, and then you have Mercury in Aquarius in the eighth house. It's like you are digging, and you're so that's the thing. I think there's something really unique about your communication. And it might be that you think way much faster than you can speak, or maybe that you speak before you think, or maybe that that's something real physical and different about your voice or your speech. And also that Mercury in the eighth house, uh for me, and you know, the energy, that this idea that we created of you, it's like you talk about matters that are not known, or they're like taboo. So you might speak a lot about money, and you're like, your mind is focused on digging on those subjects that are beneath the conversation that we are used to have. And you know, always when I'm reading your chart, I start to stutter. So this is something very strange. I even got a raspy voice reading your chart. So you really need to heal that communication style. I'm just imagining you, um, you know, you said you were a visual learner, and I was imagining myself with a whiteboard and saying like, so this is going what we're going to address today, and these are the points that we need to target. And so that might be your style of addressing things. I mean, I know great communicators, and I've learned from great communicators that were just, you know, let me grab my whiteboard and I will explain you everything. And there is something magical about, you know, having words written and, you know, being in front of you, and, you know, being so visual, because, you know, words are empty air, like Florence and the Machine. as that song, like saying that words are empty air. So it's so funny that you're a visual learner, and if you are a visual learner, you can bring that into your communication. You can bring that to your marketing. I mean, if you have this business idea, make it all about communication. I mean, work with your weaknesses, embrace your weaknesses. I mean, Cancer energy is all about that, taking care of that softness with a hard shell. And so, yeah, I mean, this was a very interesting chart to approach, very intense, very fiery at the same time, rapid energy. And it was a nice ride.
It's very clear that you're like very structured and ambitious in those. Can I provide? Am I taken care of? Are people around me taken care of? But there's this, you're kind of missing the mark at the pleasure, at finding pleasure in all that, taking the little moments of, finding gratitude for this cup of coffee that I have, or, yeah, whatever it may be. So that was why like meditation kept coming up in my mind. We mentioned the archetype of the CEO business person that's still able to get that structure in, with the morning routine of maybe you go for a run, maybe you do a morning meditation, maybe you do a walking meditation or something along those lines. But taking the time to really find the pleasure, the happiness. Yeah, that was kind of something that I was like longing for, because there was just move so quickly through the action. So it's definitely not a flaw. I don't want to present it in that way. It is just something about your energy that is very apparent. So, I think we even mentioned that you probably hear often, from people, to slow down. And, like I said, advice is only applicable where you want to place it. So if you're like, no, I need to gun through this, it's, it manifests in your chart in different ways depending on the transits. So whatever it is that resonates for you from that message of, finding the yin energy, finding the feminine, and really embracing that and incorporating that, whether it's creativity or self-care or these kinds of themes, there's actually a lot of wisdom within you that you're actually kind of like, you're looking outside of yourself for this wisdom that you have within this, what is your life purpose? You have that within you, and you already actually probably know. And so that's why you're seeking it out with these divination practices of astrology, or, other resources, and wanting it to be visually shown to you. But yeah, I would offer that those insights are within you as well. And I hope that we have, covered some basis for places to look within you, but that's definitely wisdom that you already have.
Yeah. I just want to finish by saying, chase what makes you happy. I know this is general, but it's not general for you. Look at your North Node in the fifth house, in the house of joy. There's a lot of intensity, but you need to find joy in that intensity. Find something that brings you happiness, even if it's so intense and it's so dark, because that's the unique thing about you. You have joy in those themes. So yeah, pursue that. Pursue the happiness.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Stephen. Well, we hope that you've enjoyed your reading. We definitely enjoyed looking at your chart, and we hope that you have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.